Hello and welcome to the Dicey Drive-In. I am... Oh, that's why.
A
Adjust
little
yourself.
bit. She's Witchy Mitchy.
I'm Witchy Midgy.
I'm Susie Q. And this is a show where we, a married lesy couple, talk about movies and books and TV shows and how to turn them into D&D campaigns.
And tonight we are covering the mid at best due to a main character that was miscast and bad 3D effects, Romp, Three Musketeers 2011.
And please excuse me sitting oddly. I am Le Pregonate, and this is what's comfortable for me.
No, that's not going to fix it. That's worse. Okay. Just making sure.
Remember, your screen's darker than it actually is on like the TV.
Kind of having to work out the lighting. We have been doing this for I don't know how long, and we're still working on the lighting. I'm going to go shut the
Always.
window so that the sound doesn't come in.
The breeze is nice though.
Alright.
Anyway, so we're talking about the movie Three Musketeers from 2011, starring Logan Lerman.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's the problem here. Like,
Just a quick spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. It's Three Musketeers.
it's not
Not
your
a new
typical
story.
it's not your typical Three Musketeers. The
No.
story is completely different pretty much from any other adaptation of Three Musketeers, because most of the others try to stay somewhat faithful to the source material, and this one kind of played fast and loose with it for the purposes of squeezing in airships and being kind of blockbustery in ways that others hadn't been. And honestly, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. Don't have a problem with the writing. Don't have a problem with the action sequences other than the shoehorned 3D. But that was the time period where people were like, oh, you can't pirate our movies if we make the 3D version because that's harder to pirate. But then, like, they would show in the theater right next to it the non-3D version. So, like...
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
No.
At all.
It just cost them more money. Because they had to have special cameras for it. Because of that, they catered towards those kind of scenes. And it just kind of makes it cheesy as hell.
You can see where they were milking it. And they could have put anything else in those moments, and it would have improved the movie exponentially. The biggest thing, had they just done this one thing, I think they'd have made enough for their sequel. They should not have cast Logan Lerman as D'Artagnan.
No.
Logan Lerman has been acting since he was a child on Jack and Bobby. Logan Lerman has been in a number of things, including Percy Jackson movies, but, like... Kid is kind of suited for those teen level.
He's not too much of a baby face, and he's just not the oomph to it that you need. And his tale that's supposed to be like French and British, he just doesn't.
And when the rest of the cast is British, like the entire rest of the cast is British,
and his accent doesn't even really come across. I forgot that he wasn't supposed to be British.
Or not even British. They're all supposed to be French, but like whole thing where they're all
accent.
supposed to be from the same country.
He read as a very snotty little shit
from America. Like the lines that he was delivering would have been great and smooth coming from somebody who like could tongue-in-cheek be a little charming.
And my suggestion was Taron Egerton. At that time, it would have been perfect.
But they came out so flatly delivered because he was like, oh, because of this and because of this.
Oh, and I'm so good with the ladies.
He has a very newscastery delivery of lines like that.
Also,
and that's not how you deliver, like, tongue-in-cheek, I think I'm charming lines.
Yeah, no, he was just... dweeby.
I will deliver this line of this line that is this line.
Mm-hmm.
It was flat.
Yeah, and he was very small compared to everybody else. He's supposed to be young, but he was like
tiny.
He looked like one of their sons.
He itty bitty.
Looked like their son who
and like,
tagged along.
I understand casting somebody who's shorter, who looks younger, who's supposed to be younger than all these guys, but like full on, like, this looks like you put a...
That's where those headphones went. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you took them and hung them up in here, and I couldn't find them anywhere.
No, you left them in here, so I hung them up.
Oh.
And I was charging them for a while on the same charger that I charged mine on.
Oh, you stole it.
Because I was trying to be...
Thank you, I just couldn't find it. Anyway, the point is, he was a little... I did not like him from the very
Flat
beginning.
affect made him come across as...
A cocky little SOB.
Yeah,
And
that
I was
you
waiting
wouldn't
for
like
him
in
to
school.
become
Like,
better, like more likable, and he never did.
But it doesn't...
Change that one thing and it would have changed the caliber of that movie
Enormously.
Especially with how popular Taron Egerton was at the time for Kingsman.
If you... That wasn't 2011.
No, but it was like right before Kingsman. The first Kingsman movie came out...
I think that was like 5 years later, I'm pretty sure.
It would have been even cheaper then. And younger.
I was wrong by 2 years. It came out 3 years later.
Yeah, so he was filming it at the time. It takes like 4 years, two or 3 years to make a movie like that.
1 to 2.
The point is, they could have gotten someone a little better suited.
Yeah, like...
And the other thing was...
But honestly, before Kingsman, Taron Egerton was virtually unknown.
Yeah, that was his first major... That's what I'm saying. He would have been even cheaper.
Compared to where he is now, at least.
Yeah.
But that's... Had they cast anyone but Logan Lerman...
Yeah.
Part 1...
Well, not
that
anyone.
probably would have changed the entire movie to the point of... You may have made enough to make the sequel that you totally baited at the end of that movie.
Not anyone. Because I'm just like,
Sorry.
the first thing I think is like a bad cast would be like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh God, no!
Yeah.
That's the equivalent I'm looking for. Like when they cast Jake Gyllenhaal, the white boy in Prince of Persia. That is the exact fucking bad casting decision that Logan Lerman was in this movie.
And the costuming was gorgeous, but the hair was so bad. Like, not the women's hair, the men's hair.
Because the women's hair was probably mostly wigs and stylization.
Yeah, it looks great. Whereas the men, you could tell that their natural hair was on top, and they had, like...
Bad extensions.
Clip-ins or weave or something, and you could still see the chunks of their hair in it, and it just looked matted and gross. And Logan Lerman's, like, you could tell those were his bangs, that they were just really, like, hairsprayed to the side. And then his hair went down. And it looked really, really bad. It looked like he had helmet hair.
But...
The whole time.
But, like, chin-length helmet hair, which... Woof.
It was really bad. Whereas Orlando Bloom's hair was just...
The pompadour. So great.
And you could tell it was his real hair.
Yeah. And Orlando Bloom, I feel like, one, didn't get enough screen time in that movie as that villain.
Oh, and the King had great hair, too.
They didn't give their villains enough screen time in the movie. They could have made you hate them more. And Mads Mikkelsen, I feel, was wasted on this Rochefort.
I was
Because
surprised.
it was a very powerless Rochefort with Richelieu there, whereas we've seen in the past, we saw fucking Michael Wincott play Rochefort.
Yeah.
In the 90s version,
even
that had fucking Oliver Platt and Charlie Sheen in it.
I'm trying to think of what's his name. Excuse me. He
Richelieu?
better in it as Richelieu.
As Richelieu or Rochefort?
Sorry, Rochefort. He would have better as Rochefort. It was... Who am I trying to think of? I see his face in my head. And I know what other part he's had, but fuck that part.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's from...
Played a black dog.
He's dead.
Played a black dog?
Yes. Very dead.
No, he's not.
Gary Oldman is very dead.
Not Gary. What? Hold, please.
Motherfucker's been dead. Was he dead in 2011? I don't think so.
He's not dead.
He's not dead?
No.
He's
what
alive?
What the fuck are you on!
I thought he was dead.
No!
Who died then? I thought Gary Oldman died.
Alan Rickman?
No. No, I
He
thought...
was in Oppenheimer!
I thought Gary Oldman was straight up dead.
No!
I've been...
You gave me a heart attack!
I have been laboring under the delusion that Gary Oldman is very
What
dead.
the fuck is wrong with you?
For at least 3 years.
What the fuck?
This is the same thing where I thought Tim Curry died. Like, I don't understand where my brain remembers people dying.
Tim Curry's very close, though. He's old.
Oh, fuck, he's old. But, like...
Whereas Gary
also,
Oldman's not that old.
Speaking of Richelieu...
He's younger than my parents.
Speaking of Richelieu... Tim Curry was Richelieu in the 90s version.
Yeah.
Had Gary Oldman been Richelieu... You know who plays Richelieu in the show, and it's really not bad? Peter Capaldi.
I would see him more as the Cardinal.
That's Richelieu.
Yeah, okay.
Rochefort's one eye.
Sorry, their names are very similar.
Yeah. The only reason I remember Rochefort is Oliver Platt's line in the 90s version. Rochefort. Ooh. Isn't that a smelly type of a cheese?
Or even the I keep wanting to call him the Dove. From Game of Thrones. Who's also...
The High Sparrow?
Yeah, that guy!
The High Sparrow is... So, fucking...
What's his face?
It's been 2 Pirates people. Orlando Bloom and Governor Swan is the same guy.
Was he Governor Swan?
Yeah, he was Governor Swan.
Huh. We're talking about the same person, right?
Yes. He was also in Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yes, yeah.
And younger him and current day Topher Grace are the same fucking person.
It's so weird.
They look the fucking same.
You wouldn't think, but then you put them side by side, and it's a little weird.
If you put current Topher Grace, especially if you can find a shot of him with a beard next
and like
to...
a little bit of age makeup?
No, not even. I'm at current day. Like, current day.
Okay.
Like, not that 70s show just off of it.
Oh, no, that's
I'm talking
baby
about...
face.
I mean current day fucking Topher Grace. If you put a picture of him with a beard next to Governor Swan back in the day when he was in something... Stop chewing your fingers. Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Go on. They look the same.
Child's gonna learn that habit from you, I swear to God.
It's a nervous thing. I can't help it. Anyway, I feel like he would do a good job. Yeah. He kind of looks like a pope already. So I feel like a cardinal is just it's a step. It's a parallel.
I need old
step.
and sinister and British. He's not sinister. That's the thing.
He was as High Sparrow.
He's unassuming, and that was the thing about High Sparrow. And it didn't really play then, and it's not going to play now. I'm looking for sinister as fuck, formal as fuck, and British. Somebody who's very proper, yet... I mean, if we're casting Americans... Dennis.
Oh, God.
As Richelieu.
Yeah. Weasel face.
Just weasel face can pull off being well dressed, like sinister. But I'm looking for somebody who's already English to fit the rest of the fucking cast, because they fucked that up with Logan Lerman.
Big time. As soon as I said it should have been Taron Egerton, she goes, "Yes."
It absolutely should have been Taron Egerton at the time. Oh my God.
He's still fantastic at stunts. Like, he can do choreography, no problem. And the fight choreography was really well done. But Logan Lerman's just so awkward.
And he's one of the best archers that the archery person for Robin Hood had ever trained.
Yeah.
Like,
he's gifted at those kinds of things. Like, he's made for it. And he's solid.
And as someone who knows what that takes, holy shit.
Yeah. Parkour out the ass on top of that.
Yeah. Would have been better at Arrow than... Never mind.
You're not wrong. Anyways, let's not do that.
Let's not start that argument.
Nope. The point is...
Hold on, I need sinister and old and British.
Oh my god. Like, compare him to a different part.
There's someone I'm thinking of that's like on the tip of my brain and it's fucking killing me.
British and proper and... Can't think of his name either. Another one from that same thing.
You know who would have been an excellent Rochefort? Rochefort, not Richelieu. Rochefort.
Snail Antler. Guy who played him.
Oh. No.
No?
Too bumbly. No.
You think so?
It's the same unassuming shit. Why are you going for these bumbling, unassuming
Because he gave
guys?
me the heebie-jeebies in the opening. Where he's like the dictator thing going on.
No. I'm thinking... But you know who would have made an excellent Rochefort? Rufus fucking Sewell.
Like I know who that is.
The drunk friend from Amazing Grace. Adamar from A Knight's Tale. The bad guy.
The curly haired guy?
Yeah.
Ew, yeah.
As Rochefort? Can you imagine Rufus Sewell as Rochefort?
I can't see him as old, but yeah.
But, like, he's older now, and he was older in Amazing Grace.
I need to see him with white hair. Holy.
He's got gray as shit hair now.
We're not even talking about D&D right
and
now.
I'm not talking.
So
and I said Rochefort, not Richelieu.
Oh.
Not old and sinister. I'm not going for old and sinister. I'm going for Cyclops. And he's got that intense fucking blue eyes. Can you imagine that blue of an eye being the one eye you see from somebody?
The illusionist, he kind of looks like he's trying to be Prince Charming.
Like he's a good guy. He's a good bad guy every time he plays. Like I want to see Rufus Sewell as Rochefort.
All right.
But I still need Richelieu. It's not who I'm fucking... I need old, British, sinister. There's somebody in my brain that is a part in something, and I can't name the part. I can't name the person, but it's right fucking here. And
Whoa! Come out!
I've got brain constipation.
You know, even with a fake British accent, Jeffrey Dean Morgan would have been better as Rochefort.
As Rochefort? Then Mads Mikkelsen. No, Mads Mikkelsen was wasted on that part because that part was... So, this version of Rochefort had no... What's the word? Nothing other than serving Richelieu as his thing. Whereas every other version of Rochefort, and I feel like they still should have done it, and they should have showed it this time, killed D'Artagnan's dad.
Yeah, I was surprised that didn't happen.
Like,
that would have
that's
really made
like
you hate him.
his real fucking, like, that's half of his character motivation. Once he sees, that's his six-fingered man, you know? That's his fucking... Oh, fuck. I could see the a related pair playing Rochefort and Richelieu.
Who?
I'm now seeing a related pair playing Rochefort and Richelieu.
Okay.
The Fienneses. The elder one who became the new M in the James Bond movies.
Can you just use their names?
Ray Fiennes playing Richelieu.
I'm trying to remember who Ray is. I know who Ralph is.
Or Ralph. Is it Ralph or Ray?
Ralph Fiennes?
Yes, that's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Plays Richelieu. And his, I believe it's his cousin, it might be his brother, played Merlin on Camelot. Shakespeare in Love, I believe, as Rochefort.
I don't know. Shakespeare in Love, I wanted to fuck him so badly.
And that's kind of like where you go with that, though, because like he's a little bit aged out of that range.
But there's also some appeal
and
there
he's
for
got
Milady.
enough to where like he's sketchy as shit as Merlin. He's like the sketchiest Merlin you've ever fucking seen. But he's like your sketchy friend. Like still a good guy, but like there's something kind of off about you. And he's bald as shit as Merlin. If you look up the Camelot show with Ava Green and the I See You, Joanna, that kid that looks like Mila Djokovic, who did okay. I think she's American, actually.
I'm sorry. A teacher from my hometown has resigned amid allegations that she had a relationship with a high school student.
I'm not surprised about anything that comes out of your hometown or my hometown at this point. None of it. You should have to have a passport to go to Texas or Florida.
I'm sending this to Ryan.
Especially Central Florida. Or Eastern Texas. Can you
Yes,
with
sorry.
me here?
Sorry.
Go to
Sorry.
IMDb.
Yep.
Look up the version of Camelot with Ava Green in it.
Okay.
Can never remember his name, but he played Merlin. And they are related.
Josephine Fiennes?
Yeah.
Fiennes? I don't know how. I've never seen him before. God, he looks just like him. What the fuck? He looks so much like Ralph, it's unsettling.
Are they brothers?
I'm going to the trivia. Yep.
Brothers.
Brothers.
Yes. As Richelieu and Rochefort.
And they've both romanced the same leading lady, Kate Blanchett.
As Richelieu and Rochefort.
They look too much alike, it'd be super weird.
But, like, they do and they don't. They don't enough to where if you put the fucking... Oh, they both have the facial hair. Never mind. It wouldn't work. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So Rufus Sewell is Rochefort. Ralph or Ray, I can never figure out which one he's listed as. Fiennes as...
Ralph is the oldest.
Ralph as Richelieu.
Okay.
Spend more time with them. Make you hate them more. Just a smidgen more time. Kill D'Artagnan's dad. Give him some character motivation other than, I'm plucky.
He's gotten old.
Yeah. This is why I said Richelieu.
His brother's the hot one.
Yes. That is very much the case. That's why I said Richelieu, though. He's old, he's British, he's sinister.
Yeah.
You throw the little red yarmulke on his ass. You give
he
him...
used to be married to River Song.
You give him the goatee. Okay. And then you replace D'Artagnan with Taron Egerton from that time. From 2011. You kill off D'Artagnan's dad. Using Rochefort, and you show it. You show him have his, like, Inigo Montoya, I lose against you at that point. That's the point where you have your D'Artagnan getting your fight with Rochefort. Is D'Artagnan sees Rochefort kill his dad, then gets in a fight and fucking loses.
Anyway, the point of this is we're supposed to be doing a D&D campaign.
Well, we tend to kind of review the movies first.
Yeah, but we're going way too far into it.
You leave the rest of the cast the fuck as is.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe give your Richelieu some of the creeper scenes that they gave to Tim Curry in the 90s Mummy, where it looked like he was hitting on the Queen. And it made you go, ugh.
Yeah.
because like they made him Tim Curry was it was a sexualizes women version of the Cardinal, and it was just this gross,
Yucky.
always wanting to grope someone, always on the, and you just fucking hated that. It was so gross. You put that back in.
He wasn't nearly upset enough when he got caught. He was just kind of like, oh. Mm.
Well, the thing was, they made him owe them by making him look good.
Gotcha.
I still have no fucking clue how they'd have gotten the diamonds to the queen off of the ship for her to come up wearing them afterward. That didn't make any... I guess the girl ran... Okay. That logistically still doesn't make sense to me.
You're quickly losing my attention.
Sorry. On to the D&Difying.
Yeah, the whole point of the show.
And then you cut out the shitty 3D. Bing, bang, boom. You got yourself a banger. We are going to be D&Difying Athos, Porthos, Aramis, D'Artagnan, Milady de Winter, and I think that's really it. We can say some things about what the villains, in theory, could have been, but...
Oops. I'm doing the wrong stitch.
The five of them are really our bread and butter of who could be in the party or who could be in it. Milady de Winter is a traitor, but like you could, in theory, work that character into so many scenes that they could still be at the table, which is the only reason why I would bother with deifying her.
Yeah.
So I've got Athos as an assassin rogue, alchemist, artificer, multiclass, half-elf.
Wait, say that again?
Athos.
Okay.
Mr. Darcy.
Yep.
As an assassin rogue, alchemist, artificer, multiclass, half-elf.
Yeah.
We didn't get enough of him to really know background, but because of the courtliness of Athos's always love interest with Milady de Winter, I'm gonna say probably noble, but like a lesser noble.
Otherwise she wouldn't give him the time of day.
But she's comfortable enough betraying him because she's a social climber who's out for herself. Aramis is a fighter assassin. Sorry, is a fighter. I didn't choose the fighting style because I think only really went far enough to get to level 2. Could say champion fighter.
I don't know the differences.
Assassin, rogue, cleric, like one level in cleric, just for your, just for some flavor, because he's the religious one, and I would put his his background in the acolyte position.
Yeah, because he used to be a priest.
Because he was going down the priest route and decided not to.
Well, he was a priest, he said at one time, and then decided that he could be better serving as a musketeer.
And I have Porthos, obviously, as the pirate variant background of sailor. Yes.
Yeah.
I have him as a mostly either classing into swords bard or swashbuckler rogue, but with some levels in berserker barbarian.
Oh, yes, 100%. Because he's very much brute force.
There's a lot of brute force with Porthos, but there's a lot of that suave shit that you would expect out of a bard. Like, you meet him
Yeah, but they're
saying
musketeers, so they kind of have to.
saying a dirty limerick. Like, the motherfucker bleeds bard energy out of every pore.
He does.
So, like, you could probably get away with not multi-classing into rogue and just being a barbarian.
Barbarian?
That's a thing that people say.
That's weird.
Obviously with a sailor, pirate background. Oh, we didn't say Aramis for species.
Trying to think of a species that is more inclined to go towards like the holy route.
What if he left because he was looked down upon because he was a tiefling?
Ooh, I like that. And he's a little bit mischievous and like, I'm not a man of the cloth, and I'm not a real lady.
I've got 10 minutes.
Yep. It's a tiefling if I ever heard one.
Porthos could literally be anything. But, like, I really want to see at some point a smart, suave Goliath.
He gives Goliath energy hard.
He gives Goliath energy hard, but it's a smart, suave Goliath.
Yeah,
so
he's not stupid at all.
I want to fucking see a smart, suave Goliath so badly.
Yep, and he didn't have glasses in the movie, but I feel like he would need them as a Goliath to give that little bit of suave. It's that little bit of scruff.
You want glasses on him for what? Dad energy? Like...
No, just more of like... I don't know. He can be suave and kind of take them off and be like...
I feel like he needs like...
Or it makes him look a little bit smarter, so he looks a little different. Like he can read, so that's why he needs reading glasses.
But they had these glasses in France at that point.
Yeah,
so he'd have to be like...
Not always.
Yes, pretty much exclusively.
People. Rich nobles, maybe. He wasn't rich. Remember, he was taking money from somebody in order to buy a new coat.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to buy glasses. At all. Glass was expensive. I'm going to say Goliath with the pirate background, which is why he's fucking poor still. Milady de Winter. Assassin Rogue Whispers Bard.
Ooh. Yeah?
High Elf Noble background.
Oh, yes. 100.
But, like, a very traumatizing noble background. Like...
Yeah. Like, her mother was never... Always went to, like, basically whoever's going to give her the best jewelry or what have you.
And Dad, if he was around... was abusive as shit. She probably killed her own family just to escape. That's probably. Like the vibe. Like.
And he also said like money is more important than anything and taught her that basically.
And then also like
do whatever you have to.
She learned to fight to defend herself from Daddy.
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe I get.
Yeah. Because she was just as talented as the Musketeers.
Mm-hmm. D'Artagnan I had trouble with.
Okay.
He's Poe. But he's not, in this case, an orphan. So, like, I'm loath to go the urchin route. But at the same time, if we are bing bang boom making the banger... rather than that, he kind of would have the urchin route because Daddy would have been and Mommy would have been moited instead of have fun in the city.
Goodbye. I was surprised that that's how they did that. It really made it feel like he was going off to college, which is part of the reason why I couldn't take him seriously.
Yeah, and he was like rushing after his horse instead of like...
And then like picking a fight with somebody who's obviously a noble... over calling his horse looking like a cow.
Yeah, like the number of things that didn't make sense with D'Artagnan's motivations in the early movie.
I wonder if that's in the book, maybe?
I don't know. I doubt it because they didn't give a fuck about the book when they made this movie.
Yeah, it's just like, that's really odd. And also, like, they even called him a little shit. So, like, it only solidified my opinion. What should I put on your tombstone? Little shit?
I prefer Oliver Platt's insult. Listen, little pimple.
It is better.
This sash was a gift to me from the Queen of America. There is no Queen of America. I beg to differ. We're on very intimate acquaintances unless you can prove otherwise. He was so full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
See? I told you I was famous. It's fucking hilarious, but like... And I was so shocked at one of the reviews that I read for this movie online. They basically said that Athos was the only one with any semblance of a personality. And I was like, motherfucker, did you see the same Porthos I saw?
Yeah, he had a lot of personality.
Because the motherfucker bled personality. I mean, Luke Evans was Luke Evans as Aramis. Like, that's just the role he plays in 90% of the things he's in. I understand saying, like, there's not a lot there. It's kind of, you know... I am one-dimensional former holy man who is also kind of charming. But I'm also a do-gooder, which everything but when he was Gaston, like, that's the only time he, like, breaks that mold of that role.
Yeah, that typecast.
Like, he's basically the same character he is in The Alienist. Just in a different time period in a different country.
And more religious.
Yeah. D'Artagnan, though, I had issue with. Because, one, he wasn't as particularly skilled as the rest of them. He was just kind of good with a sword, so I'm tempted to say swords bard.
Well, and that's what killed me.
But,
is
like,
that, like, right before he left home, his dad was having a battle with him and he lost. And his dad's like, oh, I guess that's all I got to teach you. And then he's like, okay, bye. Like, right there.
Yeah, that was his.
Like,
that was the
whoa.
last lesson he probably received as a musketeer because he had training.
Yeah, but, like, it just seemed very sudden that, like, oh, we're going to have one last battle, one last session before you get on your horse, and then we send you off. Like, he didn't go back to his house or anything.
No, it was just like, here are your bags, here's your horse, there's the door, get the fuck out.
We want to have sex in the living room, get out.
Here's your hat, what's your hurry?
Yeah, like, Jesus.
And that's one of the reasons I had trouble, was like, yes, he was skilled with the sword, which is very tempting to say swords bard, because he was not rogue enough. Mm-mm. He was not particularly skilled at sneaky sneak.
He's very much loud and in your face.
He disguised himself at one point, then got instantly caught, which was part of the plan.
It was part of the plan, but they also wouldn't have had him do that if he was good at being sneaky.
That's just disguised self.
Yeah.
And yeah, they wouldn't have had him do that if he was any good at being sneaky. And so, like, I'm not leaning swashbuckler rogue for that sort of sword fighty bit. That has to be swords bard. There's really, you could say some sort of one-handed fighter, but like ultimate like duelist.
Rogue, he would have to be like really low dexterity.
like he literally bumped into 4 people in the first like round of running through. Like he just ran into people
and starting fights like a little chihuahua on the street.
Like,
and then scheduling all of their duels for the same time.
That's shitty bard energy. Like, he doesn't have the charisma to be a bard. He doesn't have the dexterity to be a rogue.
And he's not, like, attractive enough to do anything that would charm people without any charisma. It's like, oh God, you're just obnoxious and I hate you. I was not a fan. And when they said, oh, my name's D'Artagnan, I was like, what the fuck? That's supposed to be D'Artagnan?
So, some people say for this sort of build, when I'm looking into it online, you can go Battle Master Fighter and Swashbuckler Rogue. And as Battle Master, grab Riposte Embrace maneuvers to get reaction and attack upon option and possibly deal sneak attack 2 times a round. So like it's basically as battle master you get superiority dice that you can expend to do maneuvers. And if you grab dueling sort of specialties in terms of your maneuvers, that would fit D'Artagnan's angry chihuahua energy in this movie. And it's giving Lae'zel.
Not even. At least Lae'zel has, like...
It's giving Lae'zel's aggression.
The punchiness. Whereas he's very much just...
It's giving Lae'zel's aggression without Lae'zel's brains.
Or, like, skill.
No, he had the skill. That's the thing.
He had sword skill.
He had sword skill.
Nothing else.
That's literally, like, one trick pony. So, like...
She's a fighter. She can use more than just that. She gets a Misty Step. She gets...
Well, no, that's Githyanki.
She's a Githyanki.
I understand. I'm saying his aggression was giving Lae'zel. I'm not saying he's a Githyanki. But he would be something that was seen as apart from society because they kept shitting on him.
Yeah.
They're like, you're a Gaskin. You're a Gaskin. Which, if we're going to have a tiefling
boy.
at that point, but, like, at the same time...
Maybe if he were a halfling, because he's little.
He's so fucking short. He's so... A gnome. But he's little and lucky, so...
He lives.
Halfling.
Yeah, he's just, like, a little punk.
So, I'm going to say halfling. The closest thing we can manage to an urchin background. Most stuff going into Battle Master Fighter, a little bit of Swashbuckler Rogue, and you call it a day with him. D'Artagnan is literally the least impressive character in this movie. Has not a lot in terms of growth, which you don't have time to have growth in like 2 days. So, excuse me.
It's supposed to be 2 days.
2, 3, 4, whatever.
We had to go to France.
Yes. From London, which is like, what, southern England? It's literally like right across the fucking channel.
I don't know. Never been.
I honestly don't know where London is on a map of England. Couldn't point it out. Couldn't tell you. I'm from America.
So we're from America? We don't care about nothing but America.
And even then, we learn the capitals sometimes, and then we instantly forget them, and then we don't know where they are.
We only remember the geography of places we've been.
That is pretty much it.
But let's be real, our country is fucking ginormous.
Yeah, compared to others. Some others.
Most others.
Actually, no.
As for, like, square footage?
Yes. Not countries, maybe a bit, but, like, maps are made very strangely. If you've ever found this out, for a long time, people would make maps where the U.S. was purposely made to look a lot bigger than it was. The way that they drew the map, even though, like, you can't make it bigger.
Yeah, but with, like, mileage from one end to the other, and it's all one country.
Yeah, but it was that was the thing. They had their scale that was supposed to be the same for all maps, but they did this with the U.S. It was just like...
It's still, like, 1,600 miles from coast to coast, and that's a lot. It's bigger than most other places. Stop it.
I don't know that something didn't crawl under my skin and die there.
That's nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I know. It's been there for weeks.
Lovely. I sleep next to you every night.
So?
I would be...
It's not alive.
Exposed to the same thing? You have a bot larva or something?
No. Could be the head of something, like a tick's head or some shit.
Ew. Anyway, I'm gonna bark.
But yeah,
Everybody was not happy with what you just said to me.
I know.
Anyway, was there anybody else that we needed to do species for?
I mean, if we wanna riff on what some of the bad guys would be.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, because he was so fucking sneaky and light on his feet on top of buildings and shit. What's his face?
Rochefort?
Jesus McStabby face.
Yeah.
Could have been a
Aramis.
tabaxi.
You're saying Aramis could have been a tabaxi. That was the one we were saying was a tiefling.
Yeah. I was saying also tabaxi are also looked down upon.
That's true.
And he's very quiet.
Which means we could make D'Artagnan a tiefling.
Mm-hmm.
Then what is Rochefort?
I mean, humans are pretty shitty.
He's got the one eye, but still has it in him to be good at fucking sword fighting.
And doesn't feel the need to have it healed or replaced in a world full of magic. So he's a cocky motherfucker.
Or prideful. Or it is a magical injury. Which to me would say some sort of fucked up warlock, because he's kind of sold his soul to Richelieu in a way.
Yeah. Or at least whatever patron Richelieu serves.
He's sold his soul to Jesus.
The creepy dead guy in the back.
Then... Because, like, with the quick on his feet thing, my first thing would have been tabaxi for Rochefort.
I feel like that's demonizing it even more.
It's true.
If you wanted to do that, I would say go with
Rakshasa?
Rakshasa.
Rakshasa's just a monster.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
he
you can
is
also make them a
villain.
character just like they did in first campaign with Critical Role.
Nope. You know what we're doing here? This is where we go to Monsters of the Multiverse.
Ooh.
We're pulling a book.
We're doing it.
Could also be a Hexblood from, like, Ravenloft. Or a Dompier. Ooh. May not need to pull the book. That motherfucker has a Dompier.
Which one?
Rochefort. With his one eye.
Yeah. Well, then he could only come out.
No, Dompiers don't
Oh,
get
no,
the...
they're not complete. Which means that would make what's his face a full-on vampire.
Yes.
Not Rochefort, but Richelieu.
No, Richelieu would not be a vampire.
I mean, he's the one controlling him.
No, I would say Richelieu... See, here's the thing I see. Rochefort can't be something that's high-ranking in any way, shape, or form. It's got to be something that's a little shit upon, because he has this need to serve. He has to maintain his station. Especially this version of Rochefort that's been so fucking neutered from his, like... power, which is why I say Mads Mikkelsen was wasted on this Rochefort, because the Rochefort that they gave to Michael Wincott had a lot more sway in his own thing, and it was like he was choosing to team up with Richelieu. And Mads Mikkelsen's such a good actor that, like...
He needs to not sit backseat to someone else.
Yeah, especially someone who doesn't have enough screen time to fucking justify you hating them. Which is why I'm like, you gotta give the bad guys a few more scenes than you gave them in this movie. You gotta make us hate them a little more. Somebody's more creepy. Somebody's more... And that, like, most of these nobles are either some sort of high fae or are high elves at the very least, which is why Milady de Winter is still rubbing elbows with them.
Is that supposed to actually be her name or just a title?
It's a fucking title. I think they said her name at one point, her actual name.
So what would the king and queen be?
They'd also be that same sort of. That's what I'm saying is the entire high court would be kind of one thing. They'd either be they'd be fae or high elves of some sort.
And the lady in waiting?
At least a half elf.
I feel like she would need to be similar-ish to what's his face.
To D'Artagnan.
Yeah, but I don't. But also a tiefling as a lady in waiting.
It would, especially since everybody was like, "You're a Gaskin, you're Gaskin," and I'm like, I'm likening this to tiefling in my head because everybody shits on the tieflings like this.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like,
I would say normally D'Artagnan would be a tiefling, but I'm just not seeing Logan Lerman as a tiefling. I'm seeing him as a fucking halfling.
Well, that's the thing is, what are we building this where it's going to be a fun D&D campaign? And the fun D&D campaign is you're not fucking Logan Lerman in this movie because
but the whole
Logan
point is
Lerman.
to make this movie into a campaign.
Yes, but we veer off quite frequently, like making the aliens into mind flayers from Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah.
And having some sort of eldritch horror at the end of the Suicide Squad, which we will at some point put up what we said about that. I don't know how to edit the popping audio out, so I don't think that one's going on YouTube. Yeah. We apologize. That was a technical difficulty in switching to a new setup.
Yeah, sorry.
That was a growing pain. We will put the list up somewhere.
That cord was going out too, and we didn't know. You had to replace it.
No, it wasn't the cord going out. No, it was that I had it on an indirect connection rather than a direct one. Now it's directly plugged in. I switched it with something else.
Gotcha.
Which is why I'm like, we veer a lot. Like, so like, making it... I'd rather make a fun D&D campaign and veer a little from the movie than I would stick somebody with being Logan Lerman in this movie.
Yeah, I guess it really depends. I think it should depend on what the DM thinks fits that, whoever wants to play that character best and their personality. Because at this point, D'Artagnan's almost like...
semi-irrelevant.
Up to interpretation, really. For this movie in particular.
Yeah, you don't... If you want it to be fun, you want people to feel like they're equal, you don't want to stick them with the D'Artagnan from this movie in any way, shape, or form.
Well, and if you're going for more of just like a comedic, fun, like shits and giggles kind of thing, I would say, yeah, go for this kind of...
Go for like a halfling, sure.
Yeah, but if you're doing like a more serious, badass, like,
you want to have, like, I want to feel badass with everybody else, then yeah, tiefling. You want to go tiefling.
Yeah, I think it depends on the party. It depends on a lot of things. And the field they want to go for, their experience with the game. Yeah.
So, here's a thought.
You.
What I was gonna say... Also, depending on where you set this, they could be anything, right? They could be high elves if you're setting it, you know, you've got airships and you've generally got lands. But if you do this, like, under the water, they could be Triton. Like, anything could be a high court. Where other people are looked down upon because you can set your world up however you want to set it up for any campaign you run.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, one... that Dhampir is a lineage. Rochefort used to be just high elf, is now Dhampir. Richelieu, still high elf. King and Queen, also high elves. Like, The entire court is a bunch of high elves. They're Vex and Vax's douchey dad. They're
those who have bought into that cult have become Dhampir.
No.
Oh.
It's just that Rochefort has sold some sort of vestige of the soul. Pact of the Blade. Pact of the fucking Blade. Hex Blade. Dhampir.
There you go.
So we've got a Hex Blade. Dhampir. Serving Richelieu as part of his contract with whatever he signed the contract with. And then we've got Richelieu, the High Elf. We've got, King and Queen High Elves, Milady de Winter High Elf, and fucking Buckingham High Elf. Because this whole, we're the upper crust of society. Which tends to be the MO of the High Elves.
Yep.
And that way you could actually have, like, High Elves who it's understandable why a king and queen would be seen as so young, and so you're a child.
Because they're all high elves and they're actually like under 500 years old.
Yeah, they're like under the elvish lifespan.
200.
Yeah, like, and that makes more sense.
Children.
And while we say this, we're saying it from a modern standpoint. The king and queen were basically actually fucking children back then.
Legit.
So it's a whole thing. And then, like, 20 to 40 years later, the people uprise and kill all of them. So
Doesn't matter.
French Revolution.
Yeah.
And by 20 to 40 years later, I mean, it was probably the 1600s, so it was probably like 100 years
so
later.
So I guess D'Artagnan doesn't actually end up with the lady in waiting? Or he cheats on her with the queen?
I have never read Man in the Iron Mask, and the only version I have seen of that is the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. And they don't go into the lady in waiting. They don't go into Constance in that. So, like, from what I remember. And Man in the Iron Mask was probably later adapted, by Mark Twain into Prince of the Pauper.
I think everything is pretty much based off of, Dumas's shit.
And that was just based on his dad's life.
Yeah.
Oh, if you have no idea about Dumas's dad, go read, listen to whatever The Black Count, because oh my god. The guy's life was an action movie, and he was a man of color, and he kicked so much fucking ass. And the reason we don't remember him mostly nowadays is because Nazis knocked the statue of him over. Literal Nazis.
So much for history, right? I thought we kept up statues of... Anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
Anyway. Excellent guy from... If you want somebody to base your D&D character off of, and their whole vibe, go The Black Count. I am telling you. Like, holy shit.
You've read it, right?
Yeah.
Into it?
Yeah. It reads like an action novel. But, like, it's nonfiction.
As far as we know.
No, it's nonfiction.
I'm saying it's not infallible.
I'm not saying any historical research isn't infallible. It's not written as a narrative. Yeah. It's written as literally a biography. The same way Washington and the one I have on Lafayette are written. Like, it's
Alexander Hamilton.
It's literally like biography. It's not biofiction. It's not like that. It's like what they can find based on records.
Yeah. So that's crazy.
This guy was a badass. Like,
everybody slept on that novel.
and
We need to make that into a movie.
it wasn't a novel. Again, it's nonfiction biography.
Excuse me.
No, I want that as a movie. I want the Black Count right now.
That's what I'm saying. Make it an
I
action
will
movie.
I will watch that shit as a Stars series. I do not care. Give it to me. When Napoleon has to tell you to calm down. When people can't say shit about the fact that you're a black guy going to the opera with white women in the 1700s.
Yeah. It's pretty badass.
In the 16 and 1700s. I think it's the 16 and 1700s. Might just be the 1700s. I don't know. I don't remember the time exactly. I remember history stories. I do not necessarily remember history by dates. And that's why I like history, is I remember the stories. I don't give a shit about your dates and your figures and your numbers and where exactly
And the
6 guys were lined up on
casualties.
the fucking battlefield and the casualties. I remember these stories of the cool motherfuckers like Dumas' dad.
Anyway, that's pretty much it, I guess.
And that's what we strive for in D&D, telling cool fucking stories.
Yeah.
Together.
Together.
Cooperative fiction.
Role playing.
Role-playing. Dice.
Yeah.
Click-clack. Math.
Math rocks.
Which
Anyway.
is why I can never remember any of the players' stats at the table without something in front of me telling me what they are.
Anyway, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. We love you. Have a good weekend. And we will see you as soon as we're playing Baldur's Gate again, which feels like is coming soon because we both keep going, nah, we should go play. And then we don't because we have a bunch of shit to do because baby, but like,
Responsibility.
we'll be done adulting at some point.
We'll
Done enough
Be irresponsible at some point.
done enough to be irresponsible to play Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a good evening, a good weekend.
Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.